Gurkha Kukri. Hey, everybody, I'm Abel Key, and this is Cigar Blog. So, check this out. Gurkha has a number of rather inventive names for their cigars. This one being named after the rather large knife that this gent right here is wielding, which is obviously called a Kukri. Originally developed by Gurkha troops, which were indigenous Indian, as in like from India forces, that served with the British Commonwealth. I heard a rumor somewhere that you cannot draw a kukri without drawing blood, either your enemy's or your own. Which is, let's face it, stupid, because you'd end up bleeding to death every time you go to, try to practice with it. So, take that whole thing with a little bit of a grain of salt. Focus on the cigar, thank you. I'm going to get this cut and lit. I've had a few of these before. So far they're good, but I haven't really been paying too much attention to exactly what's going on. That is the point of today. Now let's hope I don't end up screwing up the light. I think that's good to go, at least I hope it is, because that is getting rather hot. So, straight off the bat, it's a little sweet. Clean tobacco. Super loose draw. Usually that tells me I probably need to touch this up a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and get this down to the first inch and see if this kind of wakes up. Because so far, the start is a little ho-hum. But I'm going to blame operator error for that. So, get back to you at the first inch. Alright, so about an inch in, and aside from a lot of baking spices, there's not really any flavor that really stands out. You can kind of describe this as the difference between a rock solo versus a symphony. Sometimes you'll find a cigar that has a number of flavors kind of in the background, but there's going to be one flavor that's kind of like the guitar solo that stands out. Thank you, motorcycle. There'll be one flavor that stands out and really grabs your attention. And then there's cigars like this where it's more like a symphony, where you have a bunch of different things happening all at the same time, and the whole thing is what stands out. And that's kind of the impression I'm getting off of this. Nothing's really standing out and taking center stage, as it were. Clean tobacco. I'm not too sure what that flavor is. I had something. A little earthy, almost leathery. Interesting. Retrohale has kind of a slight cinnamony note, a little bready. Not bad. Well, anyway, this is kind of a sleepy start here, so hopefully, by the time I get to the halfway point, something will wake up and stand out, where everything will finally click, and I'll actually have an actual definitive report of exactly what I'm getting out of this. Because so far, it's just kind of a bunch of different good classic cigar flavors. It's kind of a little on the nondescript side. Not bad, just nothing's really standing out as the thing. Alright, so I'm going to get this down to the halfway point. Alright, so pretty decent halfway point. The ash just fell off. So far, provided the wind doesn't completely eat my audio, there's a little bit of a breeze that came up and decided just right now to let me know it was there. Anyway, right about the halfway point, I still haven't actually managed to pinpoint any specific flavors because there's so many flavors going on. I got hits of cinnamon, clove, occasionally anise, a little earthiness, almost a leathery note, clean tobacco, a little touch of pepper. I mean, there's so much going on in this that if you use a symphony as a metaphor, it definitely fits this cigar. You know, at symphony you can hear the French horns, the clarinets, violins, cellos, all those things, the drums. but you can't really pick one that stands out. It just kind of all forms together to one cohesive piece. That's pretty much what this does. There's so many different flavors that'll kind of have you run around trying to chase one specific thing to stand out. So basically, just keep puffing away on it. Just enjoy it for what it is. Sit down with a nice scotch and relax for an afternoon of meditation. Because you definitely have to think about what's going on in this sucker. There's a lot going on in here. So anyway, so far it's proven to be a very good cigar, and kind of intellectually challenging because I can't quite figure out what's going on because there's just too much in it. So I'm going to go ahead and yank the band and smoke this down to the nub and see if anything really starts to stand out after that. I'm kind of thinking it's going to be consistent throughout because it's kind of the tone here. It may end up building a little bit more, it may not. We won't know until we get there. Alright, so I'll see you at the nub. Alright, so got down to the nub here. So far I've noticed that the flavors of this have been pretty consistent. Consistently good, but also consistently bewildering, just because of the fact that while they stay consistent, there's still so many flavors going on, it's kind of difficult to pinpoint what you get out of it. If I could liken it to anything, any one specific thing, I would say some kind of baked product with a lot of baking spices, clove, nutmeg, things like that. But then again, you know, every so often you'll get hints of earthiness, hints of leather, bits of wood, a little pepper. When I say wood, kind of a cedary note. It's a very complex cigar that has a number of different flavors, and I still think that the symphony metaphor fits rather well. Beyond that, though, flavors have stayed really consistent. Burns have been good, with the exception of my crappy light. Never fails, there's always somebody on a motorcycle screaming by. Anyway, there's not much else to tell other than the fact that it is a good cigar. It is definitely good with a whiskey. I don't know if I'd recommend having a coffee with it, just because that kind of doesn't really fit. It has a very whiskey similar flavor profile. I want to say something like a good bourbon. Other than that, I'm getting to the point where the flavor's starting to wash out, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Definitely a good cigar with kind of a head scratcher, but other than that, probably worth the price. If you can find a deal on them, definitely go for them. As far as paying top dollar, well, you're probably going to have to anyway, unless you can get like a sampler pack or a bundle or something. Beyond that, though, there's pretty much not much else to tell. Good cigar, a lot of different flavors. Definitely want to sit there and think. Well, that's pretty much it. If you like this video or any other video, like, subscribe, leave me a comment. Let me know if you've had one of these. Let me know if you've had a different experience. Everybody's tongue is keyed a little different. Also, don't forget to check out my Twitch streams Sunday and Wednesday night, midnight to 2 a.m. If you haven't missed the live stream, they're recorded for about a week. Lately I've been doing Blade and Soul, going through the story, on Sundays, and Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. Definitely a classic, but also buggy as hell, so occasionally that stream gets a little wanky. Other than that, that's pretty much all I got. I'll see you next time.